Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, I'm John. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. You're Desiree?
Yeah, I am.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm the director of the Intensive English program, which is part of Applied Linguistics.
Hmm.
And you're coming in as a PhD student?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm really
Welcome.
excited.
Yeah. And you're right now you're in New Jersey?
Yeah, I was at the University of Arizona, but we went online during the semester, so I've been in New Jersey.
That's true. Yeah, now all locations are who knows where, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
just started our intensive English program we started it today for the summer, and we have people now all over the world
Oh,
doing.
wow. So you guys are meeting like in person?
No, no, it's
Oh,
online,
oh,
so
it's
people
online.
are
Got
you know,
it.
they're, we've never done that up until about 6 weeks ago.
Hmm.
But now, people can come and take classes. I have one guy who's in Togo, some people in China, so it's interesting. Um,
Yeah, I was teaching composition this semester and I had to move mine online too. So it was really interesting because my students were also like trying to get back home. Some were in like quarantine. So
yeah.
it was an interesting semester.
And did you graduate from Arizona just now?
Yeah.
So you also sort of had your graduation ceremony kind of yanked away, no?
Well, my professors actually put on a really awesome ceremony over Zoom, and we had
Nice.
like the hooding ceremony. We just had it on Friday. I was actually really impressed. So,
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, my son goes to Boston University, and his graduation, they've postponed it until sometime in the summer or the fall. So they did a
Mhm.
few things that were nice,
Mhm.
but they're saving, in theory anyway, that they're going to try and have all 5,000 students or something do something. But we'll see if that really happens.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you saw Leela, Professor Lawler sent a message. Something's going on with her dog.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, and she might join in by phone.
Right, right. So we'll see. But while we're waiting for her, I I want to tell you a little bit of this is actually a very exciting program that we do.
Hmm.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I started working with one of our graduate students who was a lawyer who came back to school because she wanted to start teaching English. Um, so she and I put together a program to help foreign trained lawyers acclimate to this environment and improve their language skills as well as their legal reasoning, because I don't know how familiar you are with law, but apparently each country has different rules for law, and the pro the system here in the United States is something called this it's a um, oh wait, I know what it's called, because there's civil code and there's common law. That's what it is. I'm sorry. Common law, which is not very common, ironically, in the rest of the world. So part of what we do is uh, we offer a course called Lawyering Skills. So you can use the word lawyer as a verb, apparently, uh, and it's designed to help students acclimate to the very unique pressures of law school in the U.S. and also develop their language skills. Because what we found in the first couple of cohorts back in 2016 and 2017, that people were really struggling with just understanding the vocabulary, the way that people write, the way that people speak. Um, so we actually collaborated. Professor Lawler's in the law school. She's the director of the LLM. You know what an LLM is? I keep throwing these terms out, but
That's like the law degree, right?
Well, it's interesting, and I realized this because I had no idea because I'm in linguistics. There's the JD, which is the traditional law school. So the degree they get, it's
Um,
Juris Doctorus or something. So
mhm,
it's, if you or I were going to wanted to become a lawyer, we take a 3-year program called the JD, and then you
mhm.
can take the bar exam in your state and try and pass. For people that already have a law degree outside the United States, this program offers, it's sort of like an intensive 1-year program that doesn't really replicate the JD, but it provides sort of the key components so that someone who already has a law degree somewhere else can take this program and then they can take the bar exam, for example, here in Georgia.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it's kind of like, it's weird because the JD, the typical law degree here in the United States, is also a graduate degree. And then
Mhm.
the LLM is sort of a secondary graduate degree for lawyers. Um, what also happens is in a lot of places, the law degree is an undergraduate degree. So people can become
Uh,
lawyers at 21, 22 years old. Whereas
hmm.
here, I would say the earliest someone can be a lawyer is
I have a kitten, sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. That's part of the nature of these things. I put on my background so people can walk around behind me.
I think,
My wife is very grateful for that because that way she doesn't have to worry.
yeah,
Um, and actually, this background is a beautiful picture of our campus, which you'll get to know.
yeah, I can see that. It's really nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, so anyway, so we have people coming in. A lot of our students for the LLM, which is a 1-year, or if you go part-time, 2-year graduate program, allows them to either just become more specialized in law, or they can take the bar exam and they can then practice law in Georgia. Because the
Mhm.
other thing is, and again, I didn't know this until I was getting all involved with this, you can only practice law in the state where you pass the bar exam. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
for example, someone who gets a Georgia license can't practice in New Jersey.
Mhm.
So that also kind of limits them. What we found is a lot of our students who are coming in that want to take the bar exam are they've been here for quite a while. They're permanent residents, but maybe they've been working, doing something different, or working as a paralegal. That cat just wants to be able to hang out with you.
This,
The cat will take notes about the LLM. It's okay.
yeah, this is typical during like my Zoom meetings. Is him coming.
Um, so what we do, and I think it's a really pretty cool program. That what we have is we have the law school and the applied linguistics department are collaborating on this. So I co-teach with Professor Lawler one class in the LLM program. In addition to that, one of the things that we found is useful is we have a cohort of graduate students, and that's what we're talking about with you.
Mhm.
We have 2 grad students from applied linguistics and 2 law school JD students. And in the JD program, you'll learn all of this. There's L1, L2, L3, which means L1 is first year JD students, L2 is second year JD students, and L3 is third year JD students. Because the first year students are just trying to survive. And then the second and third year students, we hire a couple of those folks and a couple of our applied linguistics folks. And the way that we work it is we have our LLM students, and typically so far we've had between 15 to 20 students in the program. So it's not big. But we have the LLM students do a weekly half-hour session with one of the graduate students from law and a half-hour session with one of our applied linguistics students. And that way, what they can do is, as they're going through their coursework, they can talk to the law students about sort of legal issues, legal reasoning, dealing with law professors, which apparently is quite a skill to master. And then for us, we help them, we work with them on sort of vocabulary, understanding legal English, you know, being able to be effective communicators, especially in their writing, because you're probably familiar that a lot of folks from different cultures have different sort of rhetorical styles.
Yeah, I've been working with international students in second language writing. So what I've seen is like citation practices are different, or, you know, building up your paper or defending a thesis. So
Yeah,
yeah, I understand it's a lot different in
yeah,
different cultures.
and law is even more sort of specialized. So they have their own sort of citation system, uh, and they have something that are called terms of art, which I don't know if you've heard of that before.
No, I haven't.
A term of art, it's a legal concept, and what it means is it's a word that has a very specific meaning based on its legal definition. So, for example, consideration. There's the word consideration, right?
Hmm.
And you and I might think about it, well, you know, maybe it's talking about, you know, thinking about other people or, you know, something like that. But in law, it's considered a term of art, and that's the phrase they use, because in contracts, it has a very specific legal meaning about the exchange of goods. Like
Hmm.
there has to be consideration in order for a contract to be valid, something like that. Now, the good news is you're not expected to be an expert in all of that.
Okay.
And one of the things that I always stress with our graduate students is that, because I have this tendency, like I want to be able to have all the answers, but one of the skills we have to develop is we have to acknowledge we're not law students, we're not lawyers. So we can help them become effective communicators and work with them on their language issues. And we can also help them sort of identify these terms of art, you know. But we also, one of the things I always encourage our graduate students to do is, because we have this second group of JD students, the law students that also help us, if they're talking about something and all of a sudden you realize, wow, this seems very specific to some part of law, whether it's contracts or constitutional law or something, you can always say to them, remember, I'm a linguist. I can help you with that. I can help you with communicating your ideas. But for the legal concepts, you need to talk to the other guys to make sure that those are clear, you know? And that way, I think that the students really appreciate that, because we don't want to give them what we think is wrong, and we don't want to give them wrong information. And we also want them to make, I mean, part of their, I'm going to call the term academic socialization development, is that they're able to identify where do you go to get the correct information, you know, because they have their law professors, they have the JD students that we're working with, that they're assigned to help the LLM students, and they have people in the law library, things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it works out really well for us, because we're not experts, but over the course of, if you end up doing this over the course of the 2 semesters, you're gonna get a lot of information about how legal English works, which is fascinating, I think. And what's really cool is a number of our students in the linguistics program have gone on to do work with different professors in the law school. We've actually done some really cool things. I say we, I'm kind of a facilitator, but I'll jump in with all the people doing the hard work. we've collaborated with the law program. For example, there's a whole thing about emoluments. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's connected to President Trump and the Constitution, and whether a president can receive, profits from people outside the United States while they're president. And it's a term called emoluments, which comes from the Constitution. And we actually had people in our program who were doing corpus analysis of what are called the founding fathers documents, or the founding era documents.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. But so I just wanted to give you a little overview of that. Tell me about yourself, and what are your thoughts and questions?
This sounds really interesting. When I received your email, I was like, oh, this is like really interesting, especially with the context, and like I've never worked with this type of group of students before, because I'm always like interested working with new populations and different contexts, because my background has been a lot in working with refugees and international students in high school and first year composition courses. So I was really interested with, especially with like, English for specific purposes, or, so this is for 2 semesters.
Well, the way it has worked in the past, and again, nothing is written in stone. Typically, the first semester, you would be working. I will be teaching a class that first semester for the lawyers, and so you would be working and meeting the students and then working with them all that semester, and then in the second semester, I disappear from the program. But the law faculty really love having you guys involved. So they've usually asked people to continue on for the spring semester. Now, you're coming into a PhD program, so you're going to be around for a while. And maybe, it depending on where your interests lie and, how things evolve for you, you may decide that you want to try and do it for more time than that.
Mm-hmm.
You may also decide that, you're doing it for the spring semester, the fall semester, but you'd rather not do it for spring. We would really like people to be able to commit to fall and spring,
Mm-hmm.
just because that way it gives that cohort of LLM students that continuity.
Yeah.
But it's possible that it could continue on. Like I say, we've had other grad students, including PhD students, who have worked on this, and from this have sort of springboarded into doing corpus analysis with the law professors, and doing other kinds of work. So it's conceivable it's something that could go on for more than 1 year in the same form, where you just be working with a new group of LLM students the following year, or it might be going into something different. Obviously the other issue, I feel very strongly we also need to protect you and make sure that we're having you get the best well-rounded experience possible. Mm-hmm. So we also don't want to just, for our convenience, sort of pigeonhole you so that you're stuck doing this one thing, and then you don't have an opportunity to, for example, teach undergraduate classes or do other kinds of research.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very aware of that. That's something that mm-hmm. I take very seriously.
Yeah, I was also curious of like what are like all the responsibilities, and then how much time do students usually spend in this like type of position?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, and I can tell you, and this is sort of for all the assistantships that you would be looking at. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's an 8 to 10 hour commitment per week. So in our program, what that would mean is that we would set up half-hour sessions for the LLM students to meet with you. because we would have 2 graduate students in applied linguistics, and let's say we have 20 LLM students, then it would mean each one of you would be responsible for having one-on-one appointments with 10 of them, which would end up being 5 hours because it's 30 minutes each.
Mhm.
Then the remaining 3 hours or so would be time where we would ask you to be in the law school, available for people on a sort of a drop-in basis. So it's a total of, let's say it's a total of 8 hours. It used to be 10 hours. I think they cut it down to 8. Because also, we have to look out for grad students.
Yeah.
But it's an 8-hour commitment. And really, it's probably going to be 5 to 6 hours of dedicated, and again, it depends on the number of students that we have, but it would be 5 to 6 hours of weekly scheduled session with each one of with individual students. And and we also, Professor Lawler and I would also share with you guys information about our assignments. There's also something called Core Grammar for Lawyers, which is an online program that all law students, native speaker and non-native speaker, they all have to take, and it's all about grammar, and then some things that are specific to law, some things that are just general grammar things. So we would get you access to that program. Our students in their first semester have to complete it and pass a test. So they also might be asking you, what would happen for you would they might ask you about issues with the core grammar, issues about their about reading and reading strategies, because they're going to be asked to read a lot. They're going to have to write different types of law school documents, and then we'll give you support on those kinds of things so that you have an idea about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. But to get back to your original question, so it's 8 hours a week. It would be, we ask that you go to the law school. Now, fortunately, let me see if I can point in here. Like, if this was our building here, the law school's over there. So it's not very far. It's about a block and a half from our office.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, and the other requirement is that I ask you to write up a short weekly summary of just a few sentences for each one of the students, because this is a requirement for the students in our course. So I just want you to give us so for example, you might say, Zara spent 20 minutes talking about her midterm, the returned midterm that she got, and about some grammar issues. And then we spent 10 minutes talking about how to access the library online or something.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's what we're asking for.
Okay. Interesting. Is there already another applied linguistics student
Yes.
position for this? Is it someone who's like already been in the program for? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's actually, it's one of our MA students, one of the master students. Her name is Hannah. She came in. We had 2 people in last fall, but they actually ended up, both of them got, they both ended up going on a program that we have with a university in Turkey. So they were both in Turkey for the spring until they got sent home, of course. But so Hannah did it in the spring, and she's agreed to do it again in the fall. And so she also has some idea about it. So it would be she would be working with you, and you guys would, with the law students, you guys would set up the calendar for the meetings, and then you guys could also talk to each other, and we would provide you with some materials from our courses and also guidelines, because the law school is very strict. Like, for example, if someone is taking a sort of a take-home midterm or something, they can't get any help from anybody. like nothing.
Oh.
They get kicked out of school if they ask anybody. So we'll make sure that all of that is clear for them and for you guys. But
Mhm.
then all their other assignments, that's the whole purpose of having you guys there, is to help them figure out, what's working, what's not working, and why, and strategies to become stronger communicators,
Mhm.
and receiving information as well as communicating it out. But I think a lot of it ends up being about their writing. What's interesting is we have usually it's a pretty diverse group. Some are international students, but the majority are people who are permanent residents, and they've been here for, some have been here up to 20 years, but they've never really done anything with their law degree since they came here,
Yeah.
or they worked as a paralegal, maybe some of them, and some have left the field and now they want to come back. And they're a wonderful group, wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful group. I think you'd love working with
Yeah, it sounds like a really interesting like opportunity. And especially you mentioned with the like writing, that's something I'm also like really passionate about is like helping people with their writing and, helping them learn new genres and stuff. So,
them. Oh, good.
because I understand it, it's a challenge because, I've studied languages before too. So that's one of the hardest skills. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And and you mentioned earlier the whole concept of English for specific purposes.
mhm.
And that's very much what this is about. Because sometimes, even for native speakers, the law is like a different language.
Yeah, it is like sometimes like what I hear going on in news, I'm like, hey, can this really happen? And then you just like hear about these legal terms. And so, yeah, even in English, it's confusing. So I could only imagine.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the other things that's interesting about it is and part of it is about law school as opposed to the law. Because they're going to have to maneuver out in the world, hopefully as lawyers,
Mhm.
the legal system with judges and clients and all that. But before they get there, they also have to work with law professors who are an interesting bunch. They're because they also have their own set of rules about what's appropriate in law school. One of the things, and I'll share this with you because I did not know it. I actually sat in on an entire semester of an introduction to U.S. law class. And one of the things that you guys can do is we can have you sit in on a couple classes too, because I think it's good for you to see how those things operate. Because one thing that I found interesting is typically the way law school works is the professor has the roster in front of him or her, and then the professor will they read a case, and the professor will look at the first person whose name starts with A and says, tell us the facts of this case. And they have to say whatever it is that the professor wants. And then the next person, what's your analysis? So it's like this real kind of pressure cooker type of a thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which in our field is not, Professor Lawler is actually now, because we started all of this, she is actually now trying to get her master's degree in our department.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But one of the things she says is, everyone in applied linguistics is so nice. And it's true, we are very nice. But in law school, I mean, they can be tough, and they have the grades are such that only a certain number of people can get A's. Most people have to get B's or C's, so and the ranking is very competitive and very important. So it's,
Yeah, I could imagine it's tense. My neighbors were in the law school at U of A and seeing their textbooks, and they're always in the study room at like 2 a.m. and stuff. So
yeah, yeah,
it's really tense.
yeah. It's interesting. And I mean, we have had such great people coming through the LLM program, not all of them, but most of them are now lawyers, because also sometimes people go through it and they realize, I really don't want to do this, or else they realize I can't do this. This is just not my skill set. Because it's a rigorous program, so there's a lot of pressure on them. And I think one of the things that they really appreciate is that we're sort of an oasis for them in this very tough environment.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that may be our friend Leela.
Hey,
Hi.
it's Leela, and I apologize. My dog is getting her toe amputated as we speak.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I will live through this. There's worse things that have happened, and we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I acknowledge that this is a very personal issue. But I just couldn't. I was at the vet's office with her, and I could not Zoom you earlier. So forgive me for being tardy to our meeting.
That's okay.
Thanks.
It's okay.
Yeah. We've been talking about the program. I don't know if there's something you would like to add, Professor Lawler, if there's some questions you would like to ask Desiree.
Well, I don't know what you've already shared with Desiree, but we just, we are looking to have about 15 students. So half of them would be assigned to you for tutoring for weekly sessions, and some of them are really advanced with their English proficiency, and some you'll immediately identify the ones who need your help more intensely, but they're all super smart, or they wouldn't be accomplished lawyers overseas who are now trying to become lawyers in the United States. But some of them need help. It's not just language skills. Some of it is also organization with their writing and, their analysis skills. So, and a lot of it is hand-holding and just supporting them and as they go through this program, which is quite rigorous. So your application was very attractive to me because you have so much teaching experience, and it appeared from your application that it was teaching experience that you had sought out rather than stuff that you had to do. Some of it was things that you had sought out. Is that right? Is that accurate?
Yeah. Because that's the thing about me. I'm always interested with new opportunities, working in new contexts or new different populations of language learners. So.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the experience that you had, your teaching experience.
So I've been teaching for about 5 years now. I worked a lot with refugees, so I used to co-teach in a bridge program in a high school with newly resettled refugees. I've also worked a lot in first-year college composition courses with refugees and international students. That's where most of my experience is. So helping students with writing skills, academic writing. And I just graduated from the University of Arizona, so I was also teaching in their English department for first year composition with international students.
It's beautiful out there. I was there for a conference in December.
Yeah.
Really... Now have you already relocated to Atlanta?
No, I'm in New Jersey right now, but I'm hoping, end of July to move to Atlanta.
Okay, boy, you're like doing a triangle of the United States: Arizona, New Jersey, and Atlanta. Yeah. All different climates, very different climates. How long have you been in New Jersey?
I've been here for a couple months now. During my master's, I kind of travel back and forth because my friends and my partner lives here. So, and that was my original plan. I'm
Okay.
here during the summer, but since we went online, I just came a bit early.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, does this sound like something that you would be interested in, working with the LLMs? And do you understand what the program is all about?
Yeah, I'm really interested in this. I think it would be a great opportunity and just like a new experience for me. So, yeah, I'm definitely interested.
What if you had to, hey, John, I know I'm doing all the talking. I apologize, but I'm late to the game.
That's okay. I was doing a lot of talking earlier, so please.
Well, by necessity, because I was sitting in the vet's office with my dog who was whimpering. If you had to identify, and I know it's early that you're just starting your PhD studies, but if you had to identify an area of interest for research, what would that area be? Like if you had to right now specify what you're going to focus on.
I'm really into second language writing, especially for helping English language learners gain proficiency in like advanced academic writing and English for specific purposes. And I'm really passionate about working with refugees as well.
Okay. You're going to love that. It sounds like this is right up your alley. They're great. They are just a great group of students to work with. And it's really, truly, I have found my calling working with them. They're super smart. So that is never an obstacle to get over. They can understand everything that you put on their plate. But they're sometimes we get students in the program, and when you are working with them, it will be apparent that they're still translating. You know, they're not thinking in English or, you know, dreaming in English or doing their legal analysis in English. They're first doing, even in class, I can tell the students who are thinking, when I ask a question, they'll think it through in their L1, excuse me, and then translate the answer before they tell the class their answer. And those are the students that are the most challenged. And so, you know, those are the students that we need to identify early on and give the most support to. But yeah, it's great fun working with them. And I don't know if John shared this with you, but one thing that's really great about the program is many of these students are grateful. You know, they're not just there to do the studying and get the degree, but they're so grateful for the opportunity to become lawyers again, because they were, you know, high-powered attorneys overseas, and then they moved to the United States, usually because they married somebody here. And now they're working as paralegals or, you know, in some other capacity in the legal profession, but they've lost their ability to be lawyers. And so they're really grateful for the opportunity, and so they're not just studying for the sake of studying, they're studying with a very specific goal and with gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wonderful program to work in.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. Just overall, it sounds just like a really cool program and really great opportunity.
Yeah, well, the fact that you like to work with the people that have L2, especially the writing challenges, makes you a great fit for this, because that's who our students are. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can tell you about the program?
I kind of already asked my main questions, just like responsibilities and then like time commitment. I feel like I kind of got a gist of like the students' backgrounds and.
Yeah, and I don't know if Dr. Bunning told you, but you would have half of the students, and we're thinking we'll have about 15 this year, which we're delighted because, you know, we are in the middle of a pandemic. So 7 or 8 of those would be yours, and then 7 or 8 of those would be Hannah's, who has already worked with them. So she'll be a great resource for you because she can tell you, how this worked in the past. And you would have a half hour with each, and then some will immediately trickle away from you because, we'll have some students that are from perhaps UK or Nigeria where their instruction has been entirely in English and they don't have a pressing need for this extra layer of support. But some will maybe need more of your time. There may be a student or two who need an hour a week rather than a half hour a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they like afternoon hours. And Dr. Bunny may have already shared this with you. A lot of them work.
So please, yeah.
The classes the required classes that they take are between 6 and 8:45 in the evening. And so they love to have their tutoring at 5 or 5:30 so that they don't have to take off work early. So those are the really popular hours. So do you have any idea your schedule for fall yet?
No, I don't have my schedule yet.
Okay. So, we'll work with you, and obviously the priority is your own student load and your own student schedule. But I will tell you from the get-go that the LLMs, they don't want to come in for an 11 o'clock session when they have a class till 8:45 at night and they have a full-time job. They like to, come right before class, and that's always an issue. So hopefully, and it usually works out beautifully that the tutors classes, the tutors applied linguistics classes and applied linguistics obligations don't conflict with the tutoring. We're able to work around it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anything else? Do you have any? I know you've talked to Dr. Bunting before I got on the call, and you've probably gotten a good idea of what the program is about and what our needs are. But are there any other angles that I can address?
Not that I can think of right now. When would this position start in the fall?
That's a good point, because the law school actually starts a week earlier than we do. Right, Professor Lawler?
That's right. Yeah, so I don't have the date on the top of my head yet.
Yeah,
but indeed it starts.
Yeah, it's like the middle of August. So we would actually plan to start that first week before, it's what they call orientation week for the grad students in the rest of the university, but the law school actually will have classes that week. So typically what we've done is the first week, which is the week before you will start your classes, is when we will sort of finalize everyone's schedule. And then we'll start with their meeting with you the second week of law school classes, which is your first week.
Okay.
And then also, Professor Lawler, at the end of the semester, do we finish up a week earlier than, or should they plan to be in there all the way through the end of their classes as well?
Well, you do finish up a week earlier, but typically the applied linguistics tutors have remained available, not for in-person sessions, but have remained available through email and text or phone or however. I mean, it's completely your decision how you want to remain in touch. But if the student, some writing questions or organization questions with their writing that they want to pass by you at the end of the semester, then that last week when you're still in school, but they're starting exams, we've allowed that, some remote questions. And I think, to be perfectly honest, I think maybe 1 or 2 students have reached out for help during that last week, but it's not you're not having to sit in tutoring sessions in person.
Right. Because I know one thing too that was interesting to me is that the law school, because I explained to Desiree that that all of this will take place in the law school building. And that actually, we can't get in, you and I can't get in there during their final exams. They lock it off to everyone except for law students. Is that correct, Professor Lawler?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can always just tell the front desk to let you guys in. And that's what I've done previously, but the students aren't there. The students, they have, during the exam period, they don't have classes. They're just doing exams. So there's really no point for you to be there. But yeah, they lock it up because, the law school, Desiree, it sounds like you're not really familiar with our downtown campus. The law school building is just 4 years old, and it's super. I mean, it's state of the art. It's up to date everything, which is kind of unusual for a state school to have, cutting edge technology. And so a lot of undergraduate students will come over there to study just because it's such a beautiful facility and it has up to date everything and, lightning fast Wi-Fi and everything that you need. So during the exam period, they'll close it off to everybody but law students just so that it's, a little bit quieter and a little bit, less crowded during exams. But yeah, it's a great, the facility is great. The College of Law is great. And the LLM program is so much fun to work with. Because as I said, I've been teaching since 2008, and this is my first experience with students who are really grateful to be students. So it's just so refreshing. It's so wonderful. I mean, they all the time, voice to me how grateful they are for this program and grateful for my efforts that, I'm helping them become lawyers in the United States. And that's just a complete blessing to work in this program. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Right, Dr. Bunting?
It is. It's great fun. And the students they're wonderful students. It's actually a wonderful program that we now have, because I think, I explained to her too that we'll have some JD students as well working with us. So I think that the combination of linguistics and the JD students really give them a nice support system.
Desiree, are you bilingual?
Not fully, but I've studied a bunch of languages.
What languages have you studied?
So I was studying Norwegian these past 2 years because that's my background. I'm half Norwegian. I have studied Arabic, Spanish, Czech, and some French.
Wow.
Okay, that'll be helpful. And I asked that, but I should tell you I'm not. Dr. Bunting speaks Spanish beautifully. I am not bilingual, and it's so ironic to me that I'm, in the front of the classroom teaching these students, all of whom can speak 2, if not 3, 4, and 5 languages, but that will be helpful. And then the 2 JD, we've already hired both of the JD tutors. JD is Juris Doctor. They're the law students who work with the LLM, and they're upper year law students, and they are students who have proven themselves academically. And one is a young woman named Veronica Macias, her grasp of the program is just outstanding, and she is really, really invested in the program. She's very involved with student government at the College of Law, and so one of the things that she identified as a need, which now in hindsight is kind of a no-brainer, but it hadn't occurred to me that it was a need until she identified it, was the LLMs have no representation in the student government at the College of Law, and so she got a constitutional amendment through the College of Law last year so that they will have a representative now, and they call it the Student Bar Association, not the Student Government Association. But she's been wonderful, and the LLMs adore her. And then the other new hire, and Dr. Bunny, you've not met him, but his name is Joshua Lutzenberger, and he's really just seems very, he's an extrovert and very involved, and seems like a really kind, compassionate young man. So I think he'll be a really good fit too in the program. So it's Hannah, Joshua, Veronica, and then Desiree, you would be the fourth tutor for the LLMs. And so, in other words, when we build the schedule, which Dr. Bunning was telling you, the very first week of the semester is the week before your classes begin in the Applied Linguistics department. The very first week of the semester, we build a schedule, a tutoring schedule for all the LLMs. And so one of you, probably Veronica, because she's done this previously, but one person will get, like the request, the dream spots from all of the LLMs, and then take all of your schedules when you're available to tutor and build a master schedule for tutoring for fall semester. And then the following week, which will be the second week of classes at the law school, but the first week of classes for the rest of the university, that's when the tutoring will actually begin.
Yeah.
So it's, it's 13 weeks of tutoring.
Okay. I'm curious,
Yeah.
what should I do over the summer to help prepare for this position?
That's a really great question.
One idea one idea might be that if we can get her access to core grammar, she could go through that, because I think for both Laura and Haley last year, they really they went through the core grammar. It's a 24 module grammar quiz instruction type thing, and especially the components that are sort of specific to law could be very interesting, because like I think there's one on citation and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And the other thing would be to connect with Hannah, and maybe even connect with Laura. Those were the two applied linguistics tutors last year. And then we had a third, but Laura is graduating at the end of summer, and so is Haley, graduating at the end of summer. But it might be very helpful to talk to them. I know we're in a pandemic, so you can't sit down face to face with them, but talk to them by phone to have them kind of give you the down and dirty of what they did.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And to establish a relationship with Haley, because she's going to be your partner in this.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Did I say Haley?
Yeah, but it's Hannah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hannah, not Haley. Haley's graduating. Hannah will be your partner. Right. Sorry about that.
And I'm popping something in the chat room for you. So for the summer, you can check out core grammar and connect with Hannah, Haley, and Laura. What I can do is I'll go on to core grammar and try and get you the access for it. Typically, we have to pay for it, but I think because you're part of our program, they give our student assistants free access to it. And then I'll send you the emails for Hannah, Haley, and Laura.
Oh, okay, that sounds good.
Any other law things she should be doing? Should she watch The Paper Chase or something, Dr. Law?
No, she watches The Paper Chase. She'll run a million miles an hour away from the College of Law. No, we are much softer and gentler. It is a very rigorous program. I guess that's the last thing that I need to really make clear is that the JD students, those are traditional law students in the United States, or the students who are earning their Juris Doctor degrees. And it's a 3-year full-time or a 4 to 5-year part-time program, and it is very rigorous. You know, they have to learn all of American law in 3 or 4 years and then sit for the bar exam at the end of it. That's the end goal, is to pass the bar exam and become practicing lawyers. And we have a really good bar pass rate. It's like 88, 89% of the JD students pass the bar exam, which is comparable or better than the University of Georgia and Emory. And our bar pass rate has been comparable or better than the other two universities, our other two competitors in Georgia since the law school began in 1982. We've always been excellent with bar pass rates. Well, the LLMs are trained overseas. They're lawyers who have been trained overseas, and so their program is, the norm is to do it in 3 semesters. If they do it part-time, they can do it in 4 semesters. But most of them do it fall, spring, summer. And so I just want you to kind of, noodle around what that means, which is that they have to learn all of what the JD students learn in their L1. They have, the JD students learn in 3, 4, 5 years. My LLMs have to learn it in 1 year, and usually in their L2. So it is a daunting task. And
I could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, they amaze me. And the bar pass rate for the LLMs is not as high as it is for the JD students, which we have had some real focused efforts to try to raise our bar pass rate for the LLMs, and those efforts will continue into the next year. And, really, as you get involved in the program, if you have any suggestions, or if you notice something that we can be doing better to better assist these students, then please let us know, because we're always trying to improve the program. But their bar pass rate is not as high as the JD students. And their cost is just, it's daunting. What they have to do in a year is just, it's rigorous and time consuming. And most of them, a lot of them are mature students that have families and have work obligations in addition to school. And, every once in a while we get a student who's like, what the heck? I had no idea it was going to be this hard. But most of them, rise to the occasion and the challenge beautifully, and get prepared for the cost they have. But it is, it's a lot of work and a lot of studying, and they have a lot on their plate. So, the one piece of the tutoring equation that can be challenging is that their schedules are so full that they're trying to trim obligations anywhere that they can. And so that's why they all want that 5 o'clock, 5:30 slot, because they have full schedules and they don't want to come earlier in the day. So, that's the one thing that can be challenging, is they're not getting a grade for the tutoring. The tutoring is something that we've set up to help them. And so, like the classes that I teach, there's a carrot at the end of it, which is I'm going to give them an A, B, C, D, or F. So with the tutoring, the carrot is that you can help them achieve their goals, but it's not quite as concrete as giving them a grade. So you have to really reinforce to them the value of the tutoring, and they will see that within a week or 2 of working with you. They will see it, that what you're doing is very, very helpful. But yeah, it's a great program, a great opportunity to work with them, and a wonderful teaching experience.
Yeah, it really does sound like it.
Yeah, we got some great incoming students too. There's a couple that I'm just so excited about having in the program. And a lot of girls this year, a lot of females. So it'll be an interesting class to teach.
Good. I want to quickly ask
Anyway.
Desiree, do you have your GSU email?
I do.
If you could just type it into our chat room here, this would be good, because I'm going to add you to the core grammar for lawyers, but I think I'd like to add you using that email. You're able to access that email now, correct?
Yeah, just let me look it up real quick because I already
Sure.
forgot. So let me find it real quick.
And Professor Lawler, are you still at the vet, or are you home now?
No, I was driving during part of our call, but now I'm at home, sitting out on my deck talking to y'all.
Well, that sounds nice.
While my dog is having her toe cut off. Poor doggy.
Yeah.
But
Oh man. Well, I hope
she'll
everything
be
goes
okay.
I hope it goes okay.
Thanks, John. She'll be fine. I happen to adore my vet. I went to her father before she graduated from veterinary college, and so I've known him for many, many years. And I said to her, she has a dog named Gracie, and I said, if this was Gracie, would you cut her toe off? And she said, Leela, if this was Gracie, I would have cut her toe off 3 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, cut her toe off.
Oh, my.
So that's where we are. Yeah. I just felt so bad leaving her, knowing that she was going to have an amputation. But
Yeah.
and so forgive me for being late to the conversation. I really was trying to do my best, but was at the vet dropping her off, and she was, she didn't know she was going to get an amputation, but I did. So I apologize for being so late.
Oh, don't worry at all.
Oh, no, it's okay.
We had a nice talk. And
See
you
how
probably
nice
can't
you
say this, but I have a
linguistic
beautiful
people are.
I have a beautiful picture of Georgia State, so I was able to show her a little bit of the campus.
I was
So
briefly.
have you been to? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was briefly in Atlanta last year for TESOL.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I
So
didn't get to
you've
see
seen the
much.
downtown campus?
Yeah, briefly. I was walking around, but I didn't go into any of the buildings.
Okay. Well, it's definitely downtown. I mean, it's an exciting place to study, and we don't know yet for sure that the classes will be, face to face. Which, if they're not, tutoring online, Veronica and Hannah can be great resources for that, because we had to move everything online at the end of spring. They can tell you how they were able to accomplish it, and they were able to accomplish it in, in a really effective manner. And of course, if the tutoring is done online, we don't have any of the scheduling difficulties, because, you can do it at your convenience and at the student's convenience if it's online. But I do think it's, you just build more camaraderie, you build a sense of community when you see each other face to face, and so that would be a disadvantage to being online. But we don't know yet if we are going to be online or not. The University of Georgia has announced it's going to be face to face, and they're part of the university system of Georgia, as are we. So my hunch is that we will be at least partially face to face in the fall semester, but we don't know. Have you heard anything, Dr. Bunning?
No, I haven't heard anything yet about fall, so we'll see. Well, I think now I think we're good. Professor Lawler, I'd like to give you a call in a couple minutes if that's okay. Desiree, do you have any last questions or anything?
Not that I can think of. I did provide my email in the chat.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Well, if you come up with any, please let us know. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll be in touch with you very soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Feel free to if I have not put it in an email, I will put it in an email, but feel free to call my cell phone anytime if you have a question that arises, or, have anything that arises that you need to reach out, feel free to use my cell phone as well as my email address.
And your cell phone's here, right? The 44421 number?
Yep. Yep. Can you see it in Zoom? I wasn't sure if you could.
I can see it. I don't know. Can you see it, Desiree?
No, it just says like one non-video participant.
Oh, I get to see it. How powerful. Being the moderator, I control these things.
Right. You're the Zoom host.
Or I
You're
just
the
sent it to you,
Zoom host. You're so powerful. You're so powerful that I bet you don't have any more Lysol or toilet paper than the rest of us.
That's true. That's true. Well, listen, it's been wonderful talking to you, Desiree.
Yeah, thank you so much for, sharing this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, great. We'll talk to you
And
soon.
I apologize again for being late. Please forgive me. I'm
that's
not
okay.
usually late. Dr.
Don't worry
Bunting
about
will tell you that this was unavoidable. I had a dog health concern.
No, it's okay. I have
a
pets
kid
too, so.
Oh, okay. Well, have a good afternoon, and I look forward to meeting you in person when events allow.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Great.
thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Take care.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.